Time to round up a big topic. A Houston father spent more than a week in jail after falling behind on his child support. Clifford Hall's employer failed to deduct the proper amount from his paychecks, resulting in him getting behind. But that didn't matter to the judge, who first sentenced him to 6 months in jail. After learning that his employer was to blame, she released him, but he must still serve probation. Hall's attorneys say a change in the law during last year's legislative session allows judges to jail parents for late payments even after they become current. So is this law too harsh? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you. You can weigh in on our Fox 26 Facebook page along with Twitter. Use the hashtag Fox26 for life. In our newsroom, we have our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Valley. All right, what do you guys think? If people are trying to make amends, is jail time the right answer for them?
Well, here's the issue here, and I'm going to step out of my legal analyst role for a minute and say that if you're a deadbeat dad, you ought to be in jail, and you ought to stay in jail until you pay. I have no feeling for anyone who doesn't take care of the child that they put on the ground. So now, anyway, back in my role. The problem with this law is that in this one instance, you see that there was a negative result. This was not this person's fault that his employer was deducting the wrong amount. He apparently didn't know that the wrong amount was being deducted. So he was doing what he thought. He thought he was in compliance with the court orders. And so in this one instance, I don't know who's first, Jackie Valley. In this one instance, this law was improperly applied. But if a deadbeat dad doesn't pay is not paying his child support, this law says you can't come in at the last minute and pay. We're still going to put you in jail.
As a single mother and a divorcee, I am 100% behind this law. And amen to all your comments about deadbeat dads. I think they should be punished. With this particular gentleman, he has a history of making late payments or no payments at all. 2 different courts found him in contempt because of that history. So even though his employer was not deducting the correct amount, he does have a history of not supporting his child. He does have a history, when he did support his child, of making late payments. So I am very happy the judge did what she did.
Right, Mustafa, I don't think any of us are going to say, you shouldn't support your children. So, but in a circumstance where you thought you were doing the right thing, should you really go to jail?
Well, first, I think that part of punishment in our legal system is to act as a deterrence. And I think the fact that we're talking about this, the fact that this case is very public, hopefully deters people from falling behind on their child support. And I think that that's an important element. And in light of this case, as long as you have judges and other people in the system that have good judgment, like this judge did in letting him out, then the system works. And maybe the legislation needs to be fine-tuned, and I think that there's some aspects of it that should be fine-tuned. But overall, this is what was needed in order to make sure that people don't fall behind on their child support. And the last thing I'll say about this,
I hope it's not the last thing. We've got 3 minutes left, so it's not going to be the last thing.
I'll save that then.
I'm going to go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Here, we're taking a look at what people are commenting about on our Facebook page right now. Take a look. Lisa and Chuck says, if you put someone in jail for back child support, then the support will get even further behind. If the AG would be more active with withholdings, we might not have this problem. And then let's also take a look, if we can, at Lindsay Thomas's comment. She says, yes, throw them in jail. They already aren't paying. Maybe they'll eventually get tired of losing jobs because they can't stay out of jail. And then she also calls on the AG's office to be more streamlined. They could be more efficient and effective if managed properly.
Well, I want to address the AG's office. First, they don't handle the deductions. That's a court order that the employer does the deductions. The Attorney General's office has a child support enforcement division that works statewide to help people collect their back child support. It is grossly underfunded, grossly undermanned because it's underfunded. They do a very, very good job with very, very limited resources. And so I don't have anything bad to say about the Attorney General on this. But what about this thought, Jackie Valley, that if you put somebody in jail and they lose their job, they're just going to get further behind?
Well, he was further behind to begin with. Again, this man has a history of not paying or paying late when he did pay. And I was very offended when he said, well, I'm just concerned about my son, but he wasn't concerned about his son when he didn't pay child support. He's all of a sudden concerned about his son because he's going to be punished for his past actions. So no, I think he needs to sit in jail. He needs to sit there and think about what he has done to his son by not supporting his son.
Mustafa.
I don't have a problem with the people that are working in the Attorney General's office, but Greg Abbott does ask for his budget. And so if that office is underfunded, I like to see whether he's always advocated for more funding for that particular part of his office, because he makes that budget.
Well,
and another thing about this gentleman, he has, it was also stated that he has not met other parts of the decree as well. So complying with the law is clearly not part of his priorities.
Well, take it out of this guy. Take it out of this one guy. And let's just talk in general, though. If you put somebody in jail, they lose their job. Doesn't that keep the problem going?
But they're in jail for a reason, because they did not obey the law.
But the other side of it is that if they're in jail, they may not be able to make a paycheck to make the payment. So we have to be thoughtful about how we do this. We have to go after the people that are not paying, that can pay, right? We have to set an example that says that if you don't pay, you will go to jail, so you better pay, all right? And lastly, if there's mistakes and stuff in the system, then the judges and others have to.
We're going to have to leave it right there. And what the law says now is this is not monopoly anymore. There's no get out of jail free card. If you don't pay, you're going to go to jail.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll be back in our next half hour with one more good topic. We're going to be talking about the immigration showdown. So we'll see you then, Mike.